What? The expressions on the faces of everyone present froze instantly, with confusion on their faces. Did I hear you correctly just now? What the boy said was that he wanted to compete with Patriarch Pierre in the preparation of elixirs? Someone in the crowd murmured and rubbed his ears vigorously. Patriarch Pierre and others' eyes widened and their mouths opened wide. Young man, are you sure you said the right thing? Pierre said with disbelief on his face, while Clara and others looked at Jason more like they were looking at a monster. With the strength of their 7th-level Imperial spiritual masters, it was naturally impossible for them to mishear what others said, and their hearts were filled with disbelief. Competing with Patriarch Pierre to prepare the spiritual potion? Are you kidding me? Does this young man know who Master Pierre is? That was the patriarch of the elixir family in the territory of chaos, the greatest elixir master in the territory of chaos, and a 6th-level intermediate elixir master. Such a figure would be famous even on the mainland. In the land of millions of square kilometers in the territory of chaos, Patriarch Pierre is the god of the elixir world. But now such a young man said that he wanted to compete with Patriarch Pierre on the preparation of spiritual potions. Isn't this a move on Tai Sui's head? Are you kidding? Wrong words? No, what? Don't you dare to accept it, Chief Pierre? Jason smiled lightly on his face, as if he was confident. Don't you dare to take it? Haha. Patriarch Pierre couldn't help laughing. There was a coldness in his smile, and the other party's indifferent tone made him feel a little annoyed. Patriarch Pierre laughed angrily and said indifferently, "Tell me, what are the rules of the competition?" It's very simple. It's of course a comparison of efficacy. The materials are chosen by both of us to see who can prepare a better elixir. Calculate the winner. Jason said. As for the time and place, it's better to choose the day than to hit the sun. Right now, in the trading center of this city of chaos, every member of the territory of chaos present is a witness to this competition. What does Patriarch Pierre think? As expected. Pierre smiled, and the other party's choice did not exceed his expectations. In the world of elixirs, there are 2 general competitions between elixir masters. One is the level competition. Which elixir master prepares a higher level elixir is the winner. In this kind of competition, the one with the higher level often wins. And this other kind is the comparison effect. The evaluation of the grade of elixirs is an extremely strict subject. It needs to be based on the difficulty of obtaining the materials, the intensity of the requirements for elixir masters, and the difficulty of preparation, plus the efficacy of the elixirs after they are successfully prepared, and many other factors. The final comprehensive evaluation is made. For example, the Heavenly Spirit Potion is only a 4th-order high-grade spiritual potion. Its effect is to improve the spiritual master to a 4th-order Heavenly Spiritist. The Transforming Spirit Potion is a 5th-order low-grade spiritual potion. Its effect is within a certain level. Change the spiritual power attribute on the surface of the spiritual master within a time period. Perhaps in some special circumstances, Xuanling Potion is more effective than Tianling Potion, but in most cases, if 2 spiritual potions are put up for auction at the same time, the price of Tianling Potion will definitely be higher than that of Xuanling Potion. The potion comes high. Now Jason said that he wanted to compete with him. Although Pierre didn't know Jason's elixir master level, no matter how powerful a boy like Jason was, he would never be higher than his own level. To seem so confident, he must have mastered some kind of elixir with extremely special effects. Come on, the stronger your formula is, the happier I will be. I will let you know that in front of me, Pierre, any special formula is just a cloud. Pierre's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. But his heart became excited. The more special the other party has the formula, the more excited he will be. If he finally gets the formula, then just thinking about it makes Pierre extremely excited. What about the bet for the competition? Pierre was excited in his heart, but said calmly. Materials, I need a lot of rare materials. Jason said calmly, didn't Chief Pierre want to give me the formula for the antidote potion and the emperor breaking potion? No problem, I have the magic potion here, the formula, I have it here also, it's okay to have whatever you want, as long as you can get the materials at a sufficient price. As he spoke, Jason slowly took out bottles after bottles of elixirs from his body, all of which he prepared. Some of the 21 bottles of elixirs have different effects, but there is no doubt that they all have the same thing in common, that is, they are powerful, crazy powerful. Feeling the different grades of elixirs in front of them, as well as the powerful aura faintly exuding from each bottle of elixirs, the eyes of everyone in the trading center hall turned red. As the patriarch of a small family and the leader of an adventure group, they had never seen so many high-grade elixirs at once. Even Vincent and Clara, the patriarchs of the 8 major families in the territory of chaos, looked filled with excitement when they saw these elixirs. In the entire territory of chaos, only the Curie family of the elixir family has 2 6th-level elixir masters. Although Vincent and the others are among the 8 major families in the territory of chaos, they usually want to obtain 6th-level elixirs, which is basically impossible. But at this moment, the worst ones that Jason took out were 5th-level high-grade elixirs, and most of them were even 6th-level low and middle-grade elixirs. How could this make them less excited? Jason placed these elixirs on the service desk of the trading center, looked at Vincent and others, and said with a smile, everyone, I was not going to exchange these elixirs, but now if you want these elixirs, it's not impossible. Everyone immediately focused their attention on Jason. As long as you can produce enough materials, you can beat me or Patriarch Pierre to win. If you beat me to win, and I win in the end, then congratulations, you can exchange the materials for the elixir you need, but if I lost, so I'm sorry, but you won't be able to take back your materials, and everyone present can participate. Jason smiled. Silence, deathly silence, everyone present stared at Jason in the crowd with their eyes wide open, their minds buzzing. This kid really dares to play. They all felt unbelievable in their hearts. But with the update, the new A*P is, wow, everyone present is crazy. Young man, I have a section of dreamleaf bamboo here. I wonder if I can participate? I have a Tianju fruit here. Young man, can I exchange it for something? Although I don't have anything good here, I did get one a few days ago. A black gold stone and me, the entire trading center instantly went crazy. Everyone was shouting and trying to push forward, but more people were just waiting and watching. Anyone who could enter the trading center, big or small, was in chaos. None of the forces in the territory are brainless. Jason's actions made them feel crazy and unbelievable, but also more suspicious. If it is as what Chief Pierre said before, this young man is the mysterious man who made a big fuss about consigning elixirs. He is definitely not an ordinary person who can set up such a trap. How could he be bold enough to compete with the leader of the Chaos Territory? How about the Elixir Patriarch Pierre's preparation competition? As early as nearly 20 years ago, Patriarch Pierre was a low-level spiritual master of the 6th level. Some people with high status and well-informed knowledge even knew that Patriarch Pierre had graduated from the 6th level more than 10 years ago. The low-level spiritual master has been promoted to the intermediate spiritual master. For such a famous person, this young man should definitely not know about it. Then some people even thought that all this might be due to the collusion between Patriarch Pierre and Jason in advance. They deceived them into possessing the materials, but after seeing the 8 major families present, they put this suspicion behind them. If these 8 major families really want to get some materials, with their power, do they still need to use such methods? They all couldn't figure it out. Everyone, be quiet, everyone be quiet. Seeing the whole scene being extremely boiling and crazy, Jason immediately shouted loudly. As if a pair of invisible giant hands pressed down, the originally noisy trading center hall fell silent for a moment. Everyone held their breath. The entire trading center was so silent that even a pin dropped to the ground. Clearly audible. Everyone stared with red and fiery eyes, wanting to hear what Jason was going to say. I have heard the information reported by many brothers, Jason said, but obviously everyone also knows how precious the elixirs here are. Many people showed frustration on their faces. Color, they also knew that although the materials they reported were rare, it was basically impossible to exchange for the row of high-level, extremely powerful elixirs in the young man's hands. But it doesn't matter. A smile appeared on Jason's face. Those with enough materials can not only exchange for these elixirs on the table, but those brothers who do not have enough materials to exchange for these high-level elixirs do have rare materials on their bodies, and they can also you can submit elixirs of the same value as the materials you carry. As long as I can get them, you can exchange them. But basically, as long as you can report the elixirs of use, you can usually get them. I forgot to tell everyone. Jason continued, the 7 bottles of Tianling potions that appeared in the trading center were also made by me. Wow, Jason's words were like a fire entering a sealed, like a powder keg. The entire trading center hall exploded instantly. Is this true? Oh my god, you can exchange it for any elixir you want? Who is this young man? Unbelievable, unbelievable, the scene boiled over again, everyone looked dull and muttered to themselves. Looking at such a crazy scene, Pierre and others' faces were extremely gloomy. The situation seemed to be somewhat out of their control. Moreover, what Jason said before made Pierre feel even more incredible. As a family of elixirs that has been inherited in the territory of chaos for thousands of years, his Curie family naturally knew what Jason had said before, as long as elixirs that everyone can tell you what to do for them can generally be obtained. How difficult is it to say this? Although the proportion of elixir masters on the mainland is extremely rare compared to spiritual masters, in terms of quantity, they are definitely not small. However, despite this, the number of elixir potions on the mainland is still not large. This is not to say that elixir masters do not work hard, but because the formula of elixir is extremely confidential in Stern Continent and is extremely difficult to find. The formulas that ordinary elixir masters know are some of the elixir recipes that have been widely circulated on the mainland. These elixir recipes are not high level, and their efficacy is not very good. The really good formulas are all used by some empires. The royal family and the elixir family have strictly controlled it, and very little has been spread. For example, with Pierre's attainments in elixirs, he could basically prepare elixirs such as flying potions, antidote potions, and spirit-containing potions through dedicated research and practice, but he just didn't have the formula. The reason why Pierre wanted to change to Jason's formula was because of this. For him, a master of elixirs, exchanging elixirs and exchanging formulas was equivalent to the difference between teaching a man to fish and teaching him how to fish. They were two completely different concepts. Clan leader Pierre, clan leaders, why don't you go get the materials? Jason cast his eyes on Pierre, you can have whatever you want, it just depends on whether your materials satisfy me. And Jason picked up the pen and paper from the service desk nearby, quickly wrote a few lines on it, and then handed the blank paper to Pierre's hand. Chief Pierre, these are the materials needed for the elixir I will prepare later. I don't have any of the above materials. I asked Chief Pierre to help me search for them. I want to use Chief Pierre's considering the identity and the strength of the Curie family, these materials should be nothing at all. Pierre lowered his head and looked at the white paper. His gloomy face instantly turned red, and he looked at Jason with a hint of annoyance. There were not many materials on the white paper, only 6 types, but the value of each one was it's not low. In total, the value is about 20 million spiritual coins, which is basically equivalent to the total assets of a medium-sized family like the Kongsi family. There's no need to be angry, Chief Pierre. Jason still had a smile on his face. If you really can't get these materials, Chief Pierre, then it doesn't matter, let's forget about this competition. What, no more competition? How can that be done? Some people in the crowd who had been paying attention to Jason said with surprise on their faces. yes, yes, I'm ready to borrow materials. How is this possible? Everyone who was noisy and preparing to exchange materials for elixirs stopped and looked here. Humph, I think you are scared. Chief Pierre sneered, and then said loudly, okay, I will take out the materials you reported, and I want to see what other tricks you can do. Come. This boy, with you, first attracted everyone's attention, then said he wanted to compete with me, and now he wants to excuse himself on the materials. Huh, how can it be so cheap? Pierre secretly sneered in his heart. Big families such as the Curie family, the Perret family, and the Bella family all have counters in this trading center. Naturally, there are also a large number of family members here. Pierre and others immediately waved their hands and quickly ordered people to return. The family went to get the materials, and other big family patriarchs like Vincent also arranged for their men to get the materials. As for themselves, they stood here and watched. After all, the other party had a 7th-level Imperial Spirit Master. If they were no longer here, ordinary people would not be able to keep them at all. Vincent and others all want to take advantage of this competition. The City of Chaos serves as the exchange center for all rare materials in the territory of Chaos. Although the headquarters of these big families are not here, all the materials obtained will be transported to the City of Chaos. It can be said that at least 80% of the materials of the entire family are in this City of Chaos. Jason ignored Pierre and others, and began to register one by one based on the materials provided by everyone in the trading center, and recorded all the elixirs of equal value that they needed. During this period of time, the mysterious consignor of powerful elixirs such as the Emperor-breaking potion will compete with Patriarch Pierre, the patriarch of the Curie family in the territory of Chaos, known as the #1 elixir master in the territory of Chaos, to prepare the elixirs. The incident gradually spread to the entire chaotic city with the flow of people. People who got the news rushed towards the trading center, trying to squeeze into the trading center hall. Seeing that there are more and more people, the entire trading center hall is about to be crowded, but there are still people who want to come in. Such a sensational thing has never happened in the entire Chaos territory, so naturally no one wants to miss it. Even some ordinary people who were not qualified to enter the trading center were swarming outside the trading center, anxiously waiting for the news inside, and constantly asking around. Chief Pierre, there are more and more people here, how about we go to the square outside? Looking at the noisy trading center hall and the sea of people, Jason smiled towards Pierre. Others proposed. At this moment, Pierre and others' faces were as gloomy as if their mother had died. The spread of the matter far exceeded his expectation. Originally, in his imagination, as long as the 8 major families of his united, they would know this. After being the consignor of the Emperor-breaking potion, under the pressure of the 8 major families of his own, he would inevitably donate the formula of the elixir. If the other party doesn't obey, then even if you use force, you have to take the formula from the other party. Of course, if the other party is obedient, you will give the other party a little benefit, but now Pierre and Vincent, the special person, had a gloomy face and could only nod his head. At least in this trading center, they can't do anything evil today. It's best if they don't. Otherwise, the reputation of their 8 major families, especially the reputation of his Curie family, will definitely plummet in the territory of Chaos and become the territory of Chaos. The object of contempt for everyone. With a smile on his face, Jason walked towards the outside of the trading center with Renaud and others. The City of Chaos Trading Center is the trading point for all rare materials in the entire territory of Chaos. It occupies the center of the City of Chaos and covers a huge area. On the periphery, there is an extremely huge square, even larger than the competition venue established by the Northwest countries to hold the Elixir Master Conference. Also made no concessions. However, at this moment, in this square, there is a huge crowd of people, and it is extremely lively. Almost all the people of Chaos City who got the news came to the square. Seeing this scene, Pierre, Vincent and other 8 family patriarchs looked at each other with gloomy expressions. As of now, the development of the matter is completely out of their control. Pierre, it depends on how you deal with the good things you have done. Clara, the patriarch of the Bella family, snorted coldly, her face as cold as ice. This kid. Pierre looked at Jason's back with a sinister look, a hint of viciousness in his eyes flashing away. After I find out your identity and get the formula from you, I will let you know Pierre's methods. Although Pierre was furious, at this moment he had to arrange for people to maintain order in the square. With the joint efforts of the 8 major families, the order in the entire square gradually improved, and a large venue was opened in the middle for the competition between Jason and Pierre. Seeing this situation, Pierre was extremely angry, but at the same time he felt dumbfounded. Regardless of the final result of this competition, the 8 major families broke the rules of the trading center and used their power to find the mysterious consignor of powerful elixirs such as the emperor-breaking potion. The Curie family bullied them, and the patriarch Pierre took first place in the territory of chaos. The identity of the elixir master and the fact that he was competing with the young consignor to prepare the elixir would probably spread throughout the chaos territory. "Hey, brother, who do you want to win?" A large number of people in the crowd were talking to each other. "Do you even need to ask? It must be Patriarch Pierre. Patriarch Pierre is a 6th-level elixir master. If he hadn't won, would it still be that boy?" A tall man said. "Hey, brother, you are lagging behind on the news. Patriarch Pierre has been promoted to the 6th-level intermediate elixir master more than 10 years ago." A thin middle-aged man next to him said. "Really? Haha, then I will be more confident." The tall man laughed loudly. "It's possible. I heard that this competition was proposed by that young man. Maybe that young man really has 2 brushes? You know, that young man is the mysterious consignor of the sensational elixir." A man with a unibrow middle-aged people also joined the discussion. "TCH, so what, he's not a teenager yet?" The tall man said with disdain in his tone. "The most powerful elixir, consigned by the mysterious consignor, the emperor-breaking elixir, is a 6th-grade high-grade elixir." The unibrow reminded him. "Haha." The tall man couldn't help but laugh. "Brother, you don't think that young man will be a 6th-level high-level elixir master, right? Anyway, the materials I brought out are for that young man to win." The unibrow insisted. "Brother, I advise you to change it as soon as possible." The tall man shook his head. "It's just for fun anyway." The unibrow said nothing. Among the crowd, Archimedes, who got the news, also came to the square with the Curie family. This is the benefactor." Seeing Jason in the center of the square, Archimedes' eyes suddenly widened, and then a trace of worry appeared on his face. Others may not know, but he knows deeply that his clan leader Pierre has advanced to the 6th level of senior spiritual master last year. Although he knew that Jason was very powerful, he was still afraid that Jason would not know the true strength of Patriarch Pierre and make the wrong decision. Suddenly, he gritted his teeth, made up his mind and walked up. In the center of the square, Jason was quite troubled at the moment. He never thought that in the competition between him and Pierre, nearly 1/3 of the people would win against him. In fact, his unusual behavior and the identity of the mysterious consignor made many gambler-like characters place their treasures on him. This meant that after he finished the competition, he needed to prepare elixirs for a lot of people, although Jason himself could also obtain the other party's materials. "Hey, that kid on the stage." At this moment, a loud shout suddenly came from the crowd. Everyone turned to look, and suddenly found Archimedes looking at Jason on the stage with disdain. As a member of the Curie family, Archimedes prepared the lowest-level powerful medicine in the trading center for 6 consecutive years, which became the laughingstock of the Curie family. It had already spread throughout the chaotic city. Among the people present, almost everyone in the city of chaos knows him. Who do you think you are? You actually dare to compete with Pierre, the leader of our Curie family, to prepare the elixir?" Archimedes walked forward while shouting, "To tell you the truth, we Curie Patriarch Pierre of the family was promoted to the 6th level Senior Elixir Master last year. Do you understand the 6th level Senior Elixir Master? Archimedes' face was full of pride. With our clan leader with such strength, just one hand can beat you until you can't find the north. No, you don't need one hand, just one finger in the center of Archimedes' square. Pierre, he looked at Archimedes with an angry look on his face. What nonsense are you talking about? Get back here. The fact that he was promoted to the 6th level of Senior Elixir Master has not been spread throughout the Chaos territory, so he knows there were not many people, but Archimedes did not expect to say it in public, which made Pierre extremely angry. Yes, yes, yes. Archimedes looked panicked when Patriarch Pierre shouted angrily, and hurriedly walked towards the outside of the crowd, but silently muttered in his heart, "Benefactor, I'm sorry, Archimedes, I have helped you so much. I hope you will make a wise choice after knowing the true strength of the clan leader." What? This Patriarch Pierre actually advanced to the 6th level of Senior Elixir Master last year? There were loud noises from the crowd. No, I want to win by overpowering Patriarch Pierre. Me too, me too. This Patriarch Pierre is so well hidden that he was promoted to the 6th level of Senior Elixir Master last year. Fortunately, he was defeated by Augie Mead. That bastard said it, otherwise my materials will be ruined this time. Oh my god, a 6th level Senior Elixir Master. No, I have to change the pressure. There was a sudden confusion in the crowd, and many pressure the people who had chosen Jason to win this time all changed their pressure to Pierre to win, but there were still some people who still did not change their pressure. In the crowd, Pierre cast his gaze on Jason's face. Boy, our family's materials are already halfway there, even if you don't decide to compete now. It won't work. Look. He pointed at the dense crowd in the square. Everyone came here after knowing the news about the competition between you and me. If you want to give up the competition, even if I agree, I'm afraid they won't agree. Of course, if you are willing to hand over the formulas of these elixirs to me, canceling the competition is not non-negotiable. For fear that Jason would regret knowing his strength, Pierre immediately threatened. Jason smiled slightly. Did I ever say that I would regret it? Archimedes' words instantly reduced the number of people who pressured him to win. However, this was exactly what Jason wanted. That's good. A sneer appeared on Pierre's face, and he said in his heart, in the face of my absolute strength, let's see what tricks you can come up with later. As a 6th level Senior Elixir Master, Pierre had no worries about his victory and was full of confidence. In a short time, a large amount of materials were transported. These materials were all rare treasures obtained by the 8 major families in the territory of Chaos. As the most powerful forces in the territory of Chaos, the 8 major families controlled half of the entire territory of Chaos. For the above materials, even the 3rd-generation descendants of those families can produce the best materials such as Phoenix Jade, Blood Spirit Crystal, Whale Grain Fragrant Wood, etc. However, as the patriarchs of the 8 major families, the materials controlled by Pierre and others are far from what ordinary people can imagine. Okay, very good. Seeing a large amount of materials being transported into the center of the square one by one, Jason's eyes were filled with excitement. Nowadays, the only things that can excite Jason are some top-quality materials. The 8 major families present all began to exchange for the elixir they wanted based on the value of the materials they could produce. Of course, the key is who can win by suppressing it. As long as they suppress it correctly, they will get their own in the end. If what you want is pressed incorrectly, so many rare materials will be wasted in the end. As expected by Jason, most of the remaining 7 major families pressured Pierre to win. After all, they were both one of the 8 major families, and Pierre had the strength and attainments in elixir science. The patriarchs of these 7 major families all know it clearly. What surprised Jason was that Clara, the matriarch of the Bella family, one of the 3 major families in the territory of Chaos, actually defeated him. Chief Clara, is it possible that you don't have confidence in me? Pierre glanced at Clara and said. Don't have confidence in you? No, Clara shook her head. I just don't like you, this old guy. Young man, I am optimistic about you. Let some people see. What does it mean to have someone outside of others? There's a better world. Clara smiled at Jason. Clara is a rather rare light spiritual master, and the technique she practices is an extremely unique spiritual technique that can reveal a person's spiritual changes through very subtle things. Humph! Pierre snorted coldly, feeling a little annoyed. Jason on the side couldn't help but was speechless. He had seen the materials brought out by the Bella family earlier. They were all extremely rare items. They were extremely valuable and extremely rare. However, the Clara clan leader actually dared to suppress someone like him. There is a lot of boldness in people you have never seen before. From the beginning, when she met Jason at the service desk, she had been secretly observing Jason. However, in her perception, Jason was like a deep pool, giving people an uneasy feeling. The elusive feeling, especially Jason's mood, is like a calm lake. From the moment he met them to now, even when he knew that Pierre had advanced to the 6th level of advanced elixir master, he had never felt the slightest emotion. Waves. This made Clara feel an unfathomable feeling towards Jason. However, despite this, Clara on the side looked very relaxed on the surface at the moment, but deep down she was still extremely nervous. The materials she took out were equivalent to all the rare materials of her Bella family in the City of Chaos. 30%, if they lose, it will be an irreparable loss for such a large family as the Bella family. Boy, the materials have arrived, let's start the competition. Pierre sneered and came to one of the 2 experimental tables that had just been moved to the middle of the square. On this material table, there are some extremely precious materials, which are the materials that Pierre will need for preparation in the future. On the other table, there are the materials that Jason needed on the white paper before, all prepared by Pierre. In full view of everyone, Patriarch Pierre took out a set of crystal vessels that exuded a cyan halo in the sunlight from a tightly sealed instrument box. This is the green crystal vessel of the Curie family. The knowledgeable elixir among the crowd exclaimed. Chief Pierre even brought out a blue crystal vessel. It seems that his victory in this competition is certain. That is said to be a blue crystal vessel worth 20 million spiritual coins, and for a young man to compete with others, Patriarch Pierre must be a little too cautious. That's called a lion fighting a rabbit. Use all your strength, what do you know? Bursts of commotion suddenly came from the crowd in the square. Some spiritual masters who did not understand what the green crystal vessels represented asked the people on the side one after another. After asking about the results, their faces were full of expressions. There were bursts of horror. However, after Pierre in the center of the square took out the green crystal vessel, his originally slightly gloomy face became calm at this moment. His eyes looked at all the materials in front of him without joy or sorrow. In his mind, only the materials in front of me are left. The programs that need to be prepared next were quickly browsed through his mind. The 7th level low-level spiritual consciousness quickly radiated to the experimental table in front of him. The powerful spiritual consciousness was raging in the center of the square, full of domineering breath. Suddenly, a bright light burst out from his eyes, and then his right hand moved like lightning, quickly touching a plant on the experimental table. Wherever it went, the entire plant suddenly broke apart as if it had been cut by a sharp blade. The cuts were neat and smooth. This is Phantom Split Hand. Jason's eyes suddenly condensed, and his pupils suddenly shrank. The so-called expert will know if there is any as soon as he takes action. This phantom splitting hand is an extremely advanced method of cutting materials spread among elixir masters. The materials contained in each section of any piece of material are different, and each section contains different materials. The efficacy of the medicine is also different. Once the phantom splitting hand is used, it can instantly divide a material into the equal parts you want based on the content of its internal components. It looks like ordinary people are cutting the material with their fingers, but in fact, the elixir must first analyze the material with spiritual consciousness. Finally, when the finger touches the material, spiritual power is ejected from the finger to cut the material without damaging it. As for the internal structure of the plant, this requires the elixir master to have an extremely high level of control over spiritual consciousness and spiritual power. It can be seen from Pierre's skillful movements that Pierre's phantom split hand has reached an extremely advanced level. The elixir masters who were looking for the goods below also expressed their screams of exclamation. However, Pierre in the middle of the square did not change his face at all. He was still processing every piece of material in front of him quickly. He is completely integrated into the preparation, and all the changes around him cannot disturb him in the slightest. Dragon Flying Phoenix Dancer, Double Spiritual Power Decomposition Method, Vortex Countercurrent Technique. Superb skills were constantly displayed from Pierre's hands with ease, and he quickly decomposed and processed a lot of materials in front of him, and his movements were amazing. It was a pleasant sight, causing the crowd below to let out bursts of exclamations. These skills are the secrets of elixir preparation that all elixir masters on the mainland want to learn. They are often extremely difficult to see, but at this moment, Pierre saw several of them at once. As the leader of chaos, Pierre is the current patriarch of the family's elixir family, which has been passed down for thousands of years. He is not like the ordinary elixir master who became a monk in the wild. He has been trained in the family system since he was a child, and he has mastered many kinds of medicines that are simply difficult for ordinary people. The secret skills of elixir science that he came into contact with, coupled with his amazing talent, made him the strongest elixir master that has appeared in the Curie family in the past 500 years. You must know that the most powerful elixir master in the entire Northwest is Master Silton, a low-level 6th-level elixir master. This shows how powerful Pierre is as a high-level elixir master of the 6th level. All the elixir masters present were all excited. Their eyes were red and their whole bodies were trembling with excitement. Almost all the elixir masters in the square opened their eyes wide and stared at Pierre's preparation for a moment. Being able to see the preparation of the elixir master like Patriarch Pierre, for ordinary elixir masters like them, is undoubtedly an extremely rare learning experience. In the center of the square, after seeing Pierre's powerful knowledge of elixirs, Jason's heart was not at all worried at this moment, but was filled with immense excitement. The 6th-level senior elixir master is the strongest elixir master Jason has encountered after his rebirth. At this moment, Jason's spiritual master level is only at the level of a 4th-level low-level spiritual master. Even the pure physical strength is not enough. It's just equivalent to a 7th-level low-level imperial spiritual master, not much higher than Pierre's elixir master. But precisely because of this competition is more interesting, isn't it? The blood in Jason's body boiled instantly at this moment, and a surging fighting spirit instantly emerged from his body. His eyes are as bright as the stars in the night sky, shining brightly around the square. When all the elixir masters were immersed in Pierre's preparation, they suddenly thought of something in their hearts. They secretly glanced at Jason next to Pierre, wanting to see what the young man would do at this moment. What an expression! When they thought about it, after seeing the miraculous preparation techniques of Patriarch Pierre, the young man would definitely be frightened and helpless, with cold sweat on his face. However, when they saw Jason's expression, their expressions suddenly froze. Excited, they rubbed their eyes vigorously in disbelief. Yes, they were excited. After seeing Patriarch Pierre's powerful elixir knowledge, the young man's face showed not only a look of bewilderment and worry, but an expression of extreme excitement, as if a very powerful spiritual master saw someone worth taking action. Like his opponent, his eyes were full of fighting spirit. This made them, the elixir masters, unable to turn around for a moment, and they suddenly became confused. Are you kidding? You are still showing fighting spirit? Could it be that the young man didn't know what the tactics used by Patriarch Pierre actually represented? Phantom split hand. Dragons and phoenixes dance with their hands. Double spiritual power decomposition method. Vortex countercurrent. As long as an elixir master can master any of these tricks, he can be called a master of elixirs, but Patriarch Pierre has mastered every move to a great level. If I were to compete with Patriarch Pierre, I would probably be paralyzed by fear right now. Maybe it was really the boy who didn't know what these moves meant. These elixir masters couldn't help but think so. However, these thoughts only passed through their minds, and then their eyes were all focused on Pierre. They really didn't want to miss any detail of Pierre's preparation. If at the beginning, some spiritual masters were still lucky that Jason could win, then at this moment, when everyone saw Pierre's amazing preparation, they all lost hope for Jason. Gained confidence. Those in the square who won over Pierre were secretly happy, while those who won over Jason were filled with regret and chagrin. Pierre lived up to his name as the #1 elixir master in the territory of chaos. Every step of the preparation was full of artistic beauty. He was completely immersed in his own preparation, his eyes were blurred and focused, and his hands were dexterous and steady. Every preparation step is perfect, from peeling, extraction, separation, purification, impurity removal, titration and even measurement. It is like an extremely precise machine with no flaws visible. The powerful 7th level low-level spiritual consciousness is crisscrossed in the center of the entire square. However, when it enters the preparation bottle, it is extremely delicate and soft, and traces of spiritual power continue to enter through the highly permeable blue crystal vessel. The reacting pharmaceutical solution participates in the reaction between spiritual elements. Every ingredient is added just right. Both the timing and the amount of ingredients are extremely precise, as perfect as a textbook. It's incredible. In the square, an elixir master murmured to himself. This preparation is so perfect. It has definitely reached the level of meticulous preparation of elixirs. An old man's eyes shone. The #1 elixir master, the #1 elixir master, he is worthy of his name, he is worthy of his name. There were constant sighs from the crowd. These people who spoke were all masters with a certain reputation in the realm of chaos. Even Jia Master Gandalf next to Sun also looked at Pierre's preparation, sometimes frowning in thought, sometimes stretching his forehead. A master of elixirs like him could see from Pierre's preparation how powerful he was, which was far beyond what he, a 5th level low-level master of elixirs, could match. Compared with him, Pierre's attainments in elixir science were like a giant, and he could only look up at him. It was like a mountain standing tall. Time passed by, and the preparation of the spiritual potion in front of Pierre was coming to an end. After the last ingredient was added to the solution in the potion bottle in front of him, the reaction suddenly became violent, and violent spirits continued to fly in the air. Force element. Pierre's always calm brows were frowning tightly at this moment, and his eyes were full of solemnity. The powerful spiritual consciousness of the 7th level low-level people shrank together in an instant, and controlled the reaction between the spiritual elements in conjunction with this powerful spiritual power. All the elixir masters in the field stood up straight, staring at Pierre in the middle of the square, not even daring to take a breath. They were the elixir masters who did not understand the preparation of elixirs at this moment. No one dared to speak out, for fear of disturbing Pierre's preparation. Sweat gradually began to form on Pierre's forehead. Finally, the originally violent solution gradually calmed down, and a strong scent of the medicine suddenly dispersed in the square. Everyone who inhales this fragrance feels that their minds are refreshed and their bodies are extremely comfortable. A bottle of light green elixir full of vitality appeared quietly in front of everyone. Pierre took a long breath and wiped the sweat from his forehead. There was a trace of relief in his eyes. It was obvious that the previous preparation also consumed a lot of energy on his part. Then, he raised the elixir in his hand high. All the people in the square craned their necks, waiting for Pierre to announce the result. The scent from before made them full of curiosity about the bottle of elixir prepared by Pierre. Just smelling it. This was the first time for all of them to see the elixir that could make people feel refreshed just by smelling it. Everyone, this is the elixir I prepared, a 6th grade high-grade elixir, vitality elixir. Pierre's high-pitched voice rumbled over the entire square. Its effect is it can cure any disease in a short period of time. With attack damage below level 7, as long as you are not missing an arm or a leg, this vitality potion can heal your injuries in a matter of seconds. Wow! The whole square was boiling, and everyone exclaimed like crazy. Although they were mentally prepared after knowing Pierre's elixir level, the Pierre Patriarch would prepare a 6th level high-grade elixir, but when they heard the sound of this vitality elixir, after the results, they still lost their composure. In fact, being able to cure attack damage below the 7th level is not a particularly remarkable thing. Many elixir masters know that low-level 6th grade healing potions also have this function and can cure most damage below the 7th level. But this vitality, the powerful thing about potion is that it can heal injuries in a short time. You can imagine that one is that you are seriously injured, and it takes several days to recover after taking it, while the other is that you are seriously injured, and you can recover within a few moments after taking it. The difference between the two is simply incomprehensible. Count. During the battle, this vitality potion is equivalent to giving a spiritual master an extra life under the attack of a 6th level senior spiritual master. Such a powerful elixir does not diminish its reputation as a 6th grade high-grade elixir. Feeling the crazy atmosphere in the audience, Pierre's face was filled with a heartfelt smile, and then he turned his attention to Jason aside. "Boy, it's your turn now." Pierre's face was full of pride. This vitality potion is the strongest potion he can prepare now. The success rate of his preparation as a 6th level advanced elixir master is not even high. Too high. At the beginning, Pierre was worried about what he would do if he failed. Unexpectedly, under everyone's attention, he was in surprisingly good condition, and the preparation was successful in no time. This made Pierre extremely excited and happy. Proud. After successfully preparing the vitality potion, Jason was already helpless in Pierre's mind. He did not believe that this young man, who looked to be only about 20 years old, could prepare a stronger vitality potion than this one. "Here comes the elixir." Pierre's not loud words immediately focused everyone's attention on Jason on the other side of the center of the square. On the other side of the square, Jason looked at Pierre with a proud look in his eyes, calmly, showing no joy or sadness. "Isn't this kid out of his mind?" Someone in the crowd asked in confusion, which immediately caused bursts of laughter. In the hearts of these people, Jason has no hope of victory. "Young man, just admit defeat. No one will say anything about you. It's not a shame to be defeated by Master Pierre. Yes, just admit defeat." Many people tried to persuade him. "What nonsense are you talking about? Young man, let's put on a show. You are the consignor of the emperor-breaking potion. Show them how powerful you are. Come on, come on." Some people who had defeated Jason and won were shouting like crazy. Shouting, although they have given up hope on Jason, even if they lose, they still want to see Jason take action. Some of them even held the hope that a miracle would happen. After all, this challenge was initiated by the young man himself. If he was not sure, would he dare to do such a crazy thing? At this moment, Jason, who had been standing there quietly before, suddenly walked towards his experimental table. His movement immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. Is this young man finally going to start preparing the medicine? Come on, let's see. The mysterious consignor of such a powerful elixir as the emperor-breaking potion, you who take the initiative to challenge Master Pierre, the first elixir master in the territory of chaos, elixir science. How amazing are his achievements. As soon as Jason moved, the square, which was originally bustling with discussions, fell into silence. Everyone in the audience held their breath for a moment, staring at Jason with eyes full of expectation. Although in their hearts, there was no doubt that Patriarch Pierre, who had prepared the vitality potion, would win the competition, but they still want to see the preparation of the mysterious consignor Jason. Vincent, Clara, and the other 8 clan heads on the side also looked at Jason for a moment, and their breathing stopped involuntarily. "Hey, let's fight to the death." A trace of disdain flashed in Pierre's eyes, looking at Jason, who was unwilling to admit defeat, and sneered in his heart. In the center of the square, Jason came to his experimental table in a few steps. A faint light flashed in his right hand. Suddenly, a set of preparation instruments that reflected a purple halo under sunlight appeared on the experimental table. "Is this a space ring?" When they saw the sudden appearance of the utensil and discovered that Jason had a space ring, Vincent and others, instead of showing greedy eyes, looked at each other, their eyes full of shock and horror. It was really Jason's actions that were too arrogant, making them full of suspicion about Jason's identity. The accents of this young man and the guard with the broken arm did not sound like they were locals from the territory of chaos. However, they surprisingly possessed countless mysterious elixirs. The strength of the guard with the broken arm that followed him even reached the level of a 7th-level low-level emperor. In the realm of spiritual masters, you must know that in the territory of chaos, as long as you reach the 7th level of imperial spiritual master, no matter what your original background is, you will be enshrined by your family and admired by thousands of people. How can you go out to be a guard for others? Moreover, after the identity of the young consignor was discovered by himself and others, instead of calming down the matter in fear, he acted extremely arrogantly, as if he did not take the 8 major families of the chaos territory at all. Now he has a priceless space ring on his body. This makes Vincent and others who were originally extremely jealous of the other side's elixir potion feel as if a basin of cold water has been poured on them. They instantly cool down. Jason's actions make them feel full of fear. If a big family wants to pass it on forever, there are a few most important rules that must not be forgotten. Never offend those you cannot offend is one of them. While Vincent and others were in shock and confusion, the elixir masters in the audience started talking after seeing the utensils Jason took out. "What is that purple preparation vessel?" someone asked aloud. "It should be an instrument made of amethyst crystal. Although it is not as good as a blue crystal vessel, it is still an extremely expensive preparation instrument." "Amethyst crystal?" Another elixir frowned. "It doesn't look like that. The utensils made of amethyst are all lavender. The purple utensil that the boy took out, I feel like the dream amethyst. Look at the purple color, round and thorough, very similar to the properties of the dream amethyst. I also think it's dream amethyst. That young man is amazing." The price of a set of dream amethyst preparation utensils on the mainland is 10 million spiritual coins, which is not what ordinary elixirs can afford. Look at that utensil. The transparency of light, dream amethyst, should be unmistakable. Based on my decades of experience in elixir medicine, that vessel is definitely dream amethyst. A gray-bearded elixir man nodded while stroking his beard. He is as inscrutable as an expert outside the world. Master Gandalf, who was standing next to Jason in the middle of the square, almost laughed out loud after hearing the comments from the group of alchemists in the audience. He really wanted to jump out and yell, "Blind your dog eyes and see clearly. This is the priceless amethyst vessel that all elixirs dream of." But he didn't do that, and he also knew that if he did, I am afraid that instead of believing him, these people present will laugh that he has no brain. The amethyst vessel is really too precious. For these ordinary elixir masters in the territory of chaos, it is a treasure that only exists in the world. They don't even dare to think about the amethyst vessel, so how can they recognize it? Woolen cloth? This is impossible. In the whole square, only Patriarch Pierre saw the amethyst vessel that Jason took out. He, who was still mocking Jason in his heart, widened his eyes and was so horrified that he couldn't say anything. Words come. No, I must be dazzled. He rubbed his eyes vigorously, feeling unbelievable in his heart. Even the Curie family, a family of elixirs that has been passed down in the territory of chaos for more than 1,000 years, only has one set of green crystal vessels, But the young man in front of him, the shock that Jason brought to him at this moment was just that. It was like a little nobleman who used his status to bully others, but found that the person standing in front of him was the prince of his own country. The shock made his whole body tremble. For the first time, Pierre's confidence in himself was shaken and he had a suspicion about Jason's identity. Jason stood quietly in front of the experimental table, took a deep look at his father who was guarding him, and then closed his eyes. If he wants to heal his father's arm, he must prepare a 7th-level low-level regeneration potion. The last time the elixir that allowed Wayne to regain his strength was successfully prepared, a big reason was because of the 8th-level item, the Ice Spirit Holy Fruit. But this time, Jason had to rely entirely on himself. Traces of 4th-level low-level spiritual consciousness gradually emanated from Jason's body, gradually wrapping around all the materials on the experimental table, and he began to sense them carefully. He recalled the moment when he prepared it in the royal city. Not only was his heart filled with emptiness and silence, but his whole soul was completely integrated with the world. Suddenly, I don't know how long it took, Jason moved. His body was like a top, with strange steps, quickly spinning around the experimental table at high speed. His strong and tough spiritual consciousness was thrown out heavily at the same time, forming a hurricane-like wind around Jason's body. The spiritual whirlpool. The herbs and materials suddenly began to dance on the experimental table as if they had wings. Under the control of spiritual consciousness and spiritual power, they flew towards Jason. Blurry, almost hard-to-see phantoms quickly flew out of Jason's body. In the eyes of all the audience, there was only a phantom left on the stage that kept spinning around the experimental table, and countless materials. They were all floating around the phantom's body, and following the rotation, blurry shadows continued to fly out of the phantom at high speed, passing over the various materials, and decomposing the materials bit by bit. What is this? The audience in the square instantly let out a huge uproar and exclaimed. They had no idea what Jason was doing on the stage. Even under the high-speed rotation, they couldn't even see Jason's face clearly. In the entire square, Vincent and others, who were 7th-level low-level imperial spiritual masters, could see part of Jason's movements. Jason, who was constantly spinning around the experimental table, seemed to have thousands of sprouts growing on his body in an instant. His hands were rapidly processing the materials around him, so fast that even Vincent and others couldn't see them clearly. And Pierre, the 6th-level senior elixir master who recovered from the shock of the amethyst vessel, also widened his eyes at this moment. What are you doing? Even though he was as powerful as him in spiritual medicine, he had no idea what Jason was doing at the moment, and his mind was confused. Jason closed his eyes, his thoughts had completely stopped and he was trapped in deep memories. I still remember that my father worked hard to raise me. I still remember my father's broad shoulders. I still remember my father's old white hair and his kind eyes. I still remember my father's sacrifice to save me when I was in danger. That is blood soluble in water. Family love is the heart of a father. Jason, who was an orphan in his previous life, was deeply moved by his father's love. At this moment, Jason's soul was completely integrated with this body, and they were no longer separated from each other. The souls of the two lives were completely merged. The heart moves at will, and the form and intention are in harmony. A drop of clear tears slid down the corner of Jason's eyes. Father, even if you travel through thousands of mountains and rivers, through mountains of swords and seas of fire, and even if you go up to the abyss and fall into the underworld, your son Jason will heal your arm. Gods will kill gods, and Buddhas will kill Buddhas. Even if you fall into the Abi hell, even if you suffer physical injuries. Tortured for eternity, Jason let out a cry in his heart. His body suddenly stopped in front of the experimental table. The visual impact of this instant transition from movement to stillness made everyone present feel so painful that they almost wanted to bleed. Countless material residues fell down one after another. In the sky, a dark green solution was suspended there. It fell from the sky and accurately landed in a medicine bottle on the experimental table. On the entire experimental table, only the emerald green cloud spirit fruit remained. What kind of elixir is this? Has the preparation been completed? Everyone in the square stared blankly at the bottle of dark green solution on the experimental table. There was no trace of spiritual power fluctuations, nor was there any sign of the potion being completed. The bottle of dark green solution just stood there quietly. Did it fail? Someone said not confidently. Pierre exhaled extremely nervously, and unknowingly, his back was soaked with sweat. Haha, kid, give up, he laughed out loud. Although he didn't understand what Jason's previous preparation was about, as a 6th-level senior elixir master, he successfully prepared a bottle of elixir. No, you can still see it. Before his laughter stopped, Jason took out the cloud mist spirit fruit that he had redeemed before. A strong breath of life suddenly floated in the air. Jason took a deep breath, and his body felt extremely comfortable. Then, in front of everyone, Jason gently put the cloud spirit fruit into the medicine bottle containing the dark green solution. Rumble, a shocking breath of life burst out from the potion bottle, forming a green cloud in the sky, falling from the sky and covering everyone in the square. This Pierre's face instantly became extremely pale, his eyes widened, and he murmured, the strange phenomenon in the world, this is only the 7th-level imperial potion that will appear. Ah, so comfortable. Oh my god, what's going on? Why did the scar on my hand disappear? My legs don't hurt anymore. Ha, my eyes can see again. Just when Pierre was extremely shocked, the square suddenly erupted into shouts of surprise from countless people. Everyone in the square went crazy instantly. Some people are happy, others are worried. Everyone feels their bodies in disbelief, their eyes are dull, and then a shocking roar of joy breaks out from their mouths. The territory of chaos is full of wars and fighting, and all the spiritual masters present have more or less scars and hidden diseases. Fortunately, these hidden diseases, such as scars, do not affect normal life, except for some female spiritual masters who love beauty, but some minor hidden diseases have troubled all the spiritual masters present all year round. But when everyone present smelled the heart-opening and extremely comfortable breath of life wafting out of the elixir prepared by Jason, some of the hidden illnesses and injuries in these people were instantly revealed. An unbearable itching numbness. Immediately in everyone's perception, the small hidden diseases and small scars on their bodies that had not been cured for a long time slowly disappeared and were healed. This made these people extremely shocked and at the same time extremely ecstatic. Although these injuries are not serious, they are like a thorn that has always been stuck in the hearts of these people, leaving a shadow in their hearts. But now, this thorn has been pulled out forever, which makes everyone present people felt relieved for a while. Chief Pierre, what do you say? In the middle of the square, Jason looked at Pierre aside with a smile. Pierre's face turned pale, his body trembled slightly, the expression in his eyes changed continuously, and finally, he sighed helplessly. You win. He trembled his lips and spoke out. His voice was not loud, but it was as if he had exhausted all his strength, and his expression instantly became much older. In order to compete with Jason in gambling, he took out most of his family's existing treasures, and this time, they were all gone. However, this is not the most important thing. The most difficult thing for him to accept is that he lost to Jason, a half-year-old boy, in his most proud attainments in spiritual medicine. The master of elixirs, known as the pharmacist, suffered an unprecedented blow in his heart. Until now, he felt unbelievable in his heart. Emperor-level elixirs could only be prepared by a 7th-level elixir master. And the young man in front of him did not look like an elixir emperor. Master, but the previous visions of heaven and earth were real and there was no room for falsehood. Not to mention anything else, just the fragrance of the spiritual potion can cure some minor illnesses and scars on everyone present, which is far beyond what the vitality potion he prepared can compare with. Everyone, you're welcome. Jason looked at everyone present with a smile, and with a wave of his left hand, countless materials placed in the center of the square disappeared in an instant. Fortunately, these are rare materials and do not take up a lot of space. However, even so, they still occupy almost the entire space of Jason's 10 cubic meters of space ring. In the square, Vincent and others saw that all the information about their family had disappeared. Their faces were as gloomy as if their parents had died, the corners of their eyes were twitching, and their eyes were extremely angry. In their hearts, they wanted to slap Jason in the face at this moment, and then grab all the materials and elixirs back. But in full view of the public, there was nothing they could do. Moreover, Jason's revealed identity and strength made them fearful of him. Among the 8 major family patriarchs present, Clara, the patriarch of the Bella family, one of the 3 major families, had a heartfelt smile on her face. "Haha, little guy, not bad, not bad." With a smile on her face, she stepped forward and took all the 5 bottles of elixir she had prepared to redeem with the materials. Although there is no emperor-breaking potion in these 5 bottles of elixir, they are all 6th level low-grade and mid-grade elixirs, and they are basically cultivation-type elixirs. With these 5 bottles of elixirs, how many members of the Bella family can the strength of this second-generation descendant will be substantially improved, which makes Patriarch Clara unhappy. Clan Chief Clara, your previous materials were exchanged for 30 bottles of Heavenly Spirit Potion. Please send these materials for preparing Heavenly Spirit Potion to the Kang's family mansion in the City of Chaos. 30 bottles of Heavenly Spirit Potion, I will deliver it to your Bella family within 10 days. Jason wrote down the materials and quantities needed to prepare the Tianling potion on a piece of white paper, and handed it to Clara. The quantities of the materials he wrote were half more than needed for actual preparation. Jason is not afraid that after these materials are known to others, they can develop Tianling potion. The preparation of elixir potions is an extremely advanced subject that involves a lot of content. The catalog of materials is only its basis. Even Jason does not dare to say that knowing the ingredients for the preparation of elixir potions can produce that kind of elixir. Here comes the potion. Clara looked down at the materials and said with a smile, easy to say, I will have family members collect the materials and send them to your house right away, Master. Preparing the Tianling potion requires the use of rare materials such as dreamglass stems. But as Clara's identity as the head of the 3 major families in the Chaos territory, it is not difficult for her to collect these materials. Everyone present, the list of who will win is here. Please give me the materials you want to prepare the elixir when you register before the day after tomorrow. I will prepare it for you one by one. Done. Jason shouted to the entire square. Oh, awesome, haha. I just said this, boy, Master will win, haha. You still said I was stupid, but now you are dumbfounded, haha haha. Haha, okay, Master, don't worry, the materials will be here soon, haha. Among the crowd, a handful of spiritual masters who had defeated Jason to win suddenly burst into cheers, extremely jubilant. Why are you shouting? I didn't suffer any loss. After seeing this competition, I deserved it. What a bunch of bastards, what are you so proud of? The pain in my legs that I've been tortured for 7 years is gone. I lost a mysterious heart. Yellowstone is nothing, just treat it as a reward for the Master. Haha, the scar on my aunt's face is gone, and I will be a beautiful woman again. Master, thank you very much. Among the crowd, many people lost to Jason's material. Instead of showing frustration, the spiritual masters cheered together. Many people were cured of hidden diseases under the scent of the regeneration potion prepared by Jason, and then they saw such an earth-shattering game. A few materials were nothing. The vast majority of them are spiritual masters at the bottom of the territory of chaos. Each one of them often walks on the edge of death and is extremely open-minded. Things outside the body, such as materials, cannot be brought with them in life or death. The killing was taken away, so the mood was not too depressing. And quite a few people, who have more or less problems with their bodies, have been cured by the fragrance of Jason's medicine. Even if they are not cured, their condition is much better, and they don't care anymore. They are just for themselves. I couldn't beat Jason to win, and I felt extremely upset. Among all the people present, only the patriarchs of the 7 major families had extremely pale faces. Fortunately, the 3 families such as the Bihara family, including the Reagan family, were cautious and did not bring out much materials. However, the Vincent family, like the Pear family, was greedy and gave away the entire family in exchange for Jason's elixir. Nearly half of the rare materials in the territory of chaos were all lost at once, and Patriarch Vincent's eyes seemed to burst out of fire when he looked at Jason. Not to mention Patriarch Pierre of the Curie family. What he wanted to exchange for was the formula of Jason's spirit potion, and what he gave out was naturally the most precious. Not only was he completely compensated now, but he also lost all the money he had given to him in the spirit potion. He was full of confidence in his pharmaceutical attainments, and his wanton publicity was also severely affected. It was a complete tragedy. Since the competition is over, we won't give it away. Jason put away all his belongings and said indifferently. He turned to Renaud and others and said, "Let's go." "Yes, master." Renaud, Tyson, and Gandalf all echoed, following closely behind Jason and walking towards the Khan's family's mansion. "Master, please walk slowly." Clara hurriedly caught up and said to Jason with a bright smile on her face, "Master, our chaos territory still adheres to rules on the surface, but secretly, there are always some ghosts. Sneaky people, if the master needs any help, you can go to the Bella family to find me. As long as I can help, I am absolutely obligated." After seeing that Jason actually prepared a royal-level elixir, Clara said to Jason it was an incomparable passion. Not to mention the benefits of having a good relationship with such a master of elixirs, just the fact that Clara benefited from this competition was enough to make her full of affection for Jason, and before Jason's 30 bottles of heavenly spirit potion arrived, there was no way Clara could let anything happen to Jason. With the 5 bottles of spiritual potions and the 30 bottles of heavenly spirit potions that were profited from this competition, the Bella family's overall strength in terms of 2nd generation and 3rd generation children may surpass the Pear family, which is also one of the 3 major families. And the Curie family, which made Clara unhappy. Thank you, Patriarch Clara, for your love. If you need anything, I will definitely visit the Bella family next time. Jason also had a good impression of Patriarch Clara. Seeing Jason approaching, the spiritual masters who had surrounded the square immediately gave way to a thoroughfare, and at the same time bursts of cheers came from their mouths. Looking at Pierre, Vincent and others with livid faces in the center of the square, Clara sighed, shook her head and secretly said, "It seems that although our Bella family is one of the 3 major families like you two, they are still female after all. The courage in doing things is still not comparable to that of the other clan leaders. Chief Pierre, I see that you have brought out the rare materials of nearly 7 levels of the family, right? Chief Vincent, I estimate that the materials you have brought out are almost half of those of the family, and I just took out 30% of the family's rare materials in exchange for these 5 bottles of elixirs. If I took out all of them, I would probably pocket all the elixirs in the next Jitsi competition. What a loss, what a big loss." Clara shook her head and sighed, her expression seemed extremely annoyed, but deep down she was happy. Vincent and the others' faces were livid, and they looked at the retreating figures of Jason and others without saying a word. They didn't know what they were thinking at the moment. Jason and others were on their way back. There were a large number of spiritual master followers along the way, and they cheered loudly. Tyson and Gandalf had never seen such a big scene before. They were light and airy all the way. After entering the mansion, their heads still felt a little dizzy. Only Renaud was still extremely vigilant in his heart, and his powerful spiritual consciousness was emanating. Come on, to avoid being attacked by some people. As soon as Jason and others returned to the mansion, some spiritual masters followed them in, holding materials in their hands. These people all defeated Jason in the competition. Now that they had materials, they naturally came to them immediately. Under Jason's arrangement, the hall of Kongxi's mansion was immediately used as a temporary office space for those spiritual masters who pressured Jason to come and hand in materials and receive spiritual potions in a few days. The Kongxi family was originally sent to those family members in the City of Chaos directly became registration staff. A master of elixirs who can prepare royal potions. While Jason was arranging all this, Gandalf kept watching from the side, with great hesitation in his heart. There was always a deep secret hidden in his heart, he had never told anyone, but at this moment, he had the urge to pour out all his money to Jason. He was struggling in his heart. If Jason only made him admire him at the beginning, then now, in these days, after getting along with Jason, he had great admiration for Jason. He was deeply shocked and impressed by Jason's accomplishments in elixir science. The most important thing, it was the strength Jason showed that gave him hope. After arranging everything for the spiritual masters who pressured him to win, Jason and Reno walked towards the backyard. Gandalf followed Jason closely with a look of hesitation on his face. Finally, he gritted his teeth and finally made up his mind and walked forward quickly. Master Jace, Gandalf came to Jason, his expression extremely solemn. Master Jace, actually there is something I haven't told you, he said in a low voice. Jason couldn't help but be startled. Okay. He smiled, reached out and patted Gandalf on the shoulder. Although the age gap between the two was so big, it gave people a very natural feeling, you don't have to say anything now, now we have to do something extremely important. Please help me watch the exchange of materials in the hall. After that, Jason and Reno walked into his room, leaving Gandalf alone. In the backyard. Suddenly, he smiled. Yes, I have always regarded the death maze as a big secret, but for someone like Master Jace, it may not be in his mind at all. He originally felt that he had told Jason this secret. He was quite uneasy, but now, he felt extremely at peace. After standing there for a moment, he turned and walked towards the hall of the mansion. In the room, Jason and Reno stood opposite each other, and the bottle of green regeneration potion was quietly placed between them. Father, this is what I call the regeneration potion. As long as you take it, you can regenerate your broken arm. Jason had a smile on his face. Is this the regeneration potion you were talking about? Looking at the potion in front of him, Reno's whole body trembled faintly. He took a deep breath and then took the bottle of potion. Phew! There was a shock of spiritual power on Reno's body, and the robe and clothes he was wearing were quickly taken off, revealing a body of strong muscles and a right arm with a black and twisted surface that looked extremely terrifying. Looking at Jason's expectant looking at it, Reno opened the amethyst bottle cap and drank the regeneration potion in one gulp. Yeah. Reno stared, his face flushed. An extremely powerful breath of life suddenly roared in his chest. Crack, a very special sound, like a mouse gnawing something, kept coming from Reno. First from Reno the scars on the body surface quickly disappeared, and the skin became as smooth as a baby, and then pop. There was a sudden crisp sound, and Reno's originally bare right arm suddenly trembled. Then bones and flesh began to extend continuously, and the right arm continued to grow. There were constant crackling sounds, and bursts of hissing sounds. The right arm continued to grow, Reno's right arm continued to grow. Zhangxiu's face couldn't help but reveal a look of ecstasy. My right arm has really grown. There was a look of shock and ecstasy on his face. Although Jason was so sure, Reno always had a little doubt in his heart about the rebirth of his broken arm. But at this moment, he was deeply immersed in the rebirth of his right arm. In that joy, Reno's right arm continued to extend, from the elbow to the forearm, then the wrist grew, the palm grew, and finally the 5 fingers also grew one by one. My hand, my arm, Reno waved his right arm slightly, loosened and clenched his hands, tried several times, and then exerted a slight force. Chi-chi. A stream of golden spiritual power shot out on his right arm, full of overbearing and sharp taste. The meridians are intact, and there is no problem with the muscles and bones. Reno's face showed surprise. Color. Jason. Reno looked at Jason with great excitement in his eyes. Ever since he lost his arm, he never thought that his right arm could grow back, even after Jason told him that he could have his arm broken off. Rebirth, in his heart, he kept telling himself not to have too much hope. In the past few months, Reno's heart has been full of depression, and his whole personality has become cold and full of evil spirits. However, now his nose couldn't help but feel sour, thinking that in order to obtain the cloud spirit fruit to prepare a regeneration potion, Jason and he traveled thousands of miles to come to this territory of chaos, and even today, he prepared a regeneration potion for him under the attack of the 8 major families in the territory of chaos. He almost offended all the 8 major families in the territory of chaos and imprisoned himself in danger. Reno's heart trembled at the thought of this. As long as I am here, I will never allow anyone to harm my son Jason. Reno swore secretly in his heart, but when he thought that the top 3 families in the territory of chaos had a 7th-level intermediate emperor spiritual master, Reno's mood changed. There is some concern. Father, don't worry, it's not over yet. Just when Reno was in a state of excitement, Jason's words suddenly came from the side. It's not over yet? What do you mean? Reno couldn't help but was stunned. Before he could ask a question, suddenly, an extremely powerful life force suddenly burst out in his vagina, and there was an extremely severe pain. It spread throughout his body. Huh? Reno gritted his teeth, cold sweat suddenly falling from his forehead, but he stared and remained silent. Severe pain, incomparable severe pain, like millions of knives, cutting and twisting every inch of his muscles. That kind of pain penetrates directly into a person's bone marrow and soul. Ho! Reno opened his mouth wide, his eyes were full of bloodshot eyes, and his gums were bleeding from biting them hard. In his body, cells are shattered, reorganized, and divided one by one, and then shattered, reorganized, and divided again, and the cycle continues back and forth. During this process, a black, extremely fishy liquid suddenly flowed out from Reno's body surface. Generally speaking, after reaching the 7th level of Emperor Spiritual Master, one's spiritual power can communicate with the heaven and earth. Generally speaking, one can communicate with heaven and earth. There are very few impurities, but under the effect of this regeneration potion, Reynolds' body once again discharged a large amount of dirty impurities. Regeneration potion, regeneration potion. Looking at his father in front of him, Jason's eyes flickered and he murmured to himself, in addition to regenerating a broken arm, it can also regenerate the body of a 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master, achieve the effect of rebirth. After those black smelly impurities flowed out, all the cells of Renault's body finally stopped transforming and condensed together instantly. A powerful wave of spiritual power suddenly rose from the surface of Renault's body. Golden lines appeared extremely clearly on Renault's skin. However, they only radiated 2 meters around him, forming a golden, the ball enveloped Renault's entire body. Such a powerful spiritual power fluctuation is definitely not something that a low-level Imperial Spiritual Master can create. This eye in the golden ball, Renault glanced at his hands that had become white jade-like, somewhat crystal clear, and felt the incomparable surging golden spiritual power in his body. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. I have been promoted to the 7th-level Intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master. Haha. He looked up to the sky and laughed, but the sound strangely only resounded in the room without leaking out at all. Seeing that his father not only recovered from his broken arm, but also advanced to the 7th-level Intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master, even though Jason had been prepared for all this, a smile from the bottom of his heart showed on his face involuntarily. In fact, in today's competition with Pierre, it seemed that Jason was extremely impulsive, but in fact, he had carefully considered it. In the territory of chaos, those who are most likely to possess the cloud mist spirit fruit are the 8 major families that control the territory of chaos. The probability of seizing the cloud mist spirit fruit from them without being discovered by them is almost zero. So the moment Pierre and others appeared, Jason had already decided to make things big. The regeneration potion is a 7th level imperial potion. Apart from the main material of the cloud mist spirit fruit, it is also quite difficult to collect the other materials. Although Jason can use the spiritual potion to replace it, it will also take time, and this one, for the competition, Pierre from the elixir family in the territory of chaos directly prepared all the materials for Jason. And everyone in the entire chaos territory participated in the competition, which made the 8 major families a little jealous and did not dare to act rashly. But these are only secondary. The most important thing is to have the strength to surpass everyone, and that is to advance his father to the 7th level intermediate emperor spiritual master. In fact, with the help of Jason's spiritual storage potion, the spiritual power in Renault's body has already reached the peak of the 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master. In terms of strength, Renault definitely has the impact of the 7th level emperor spiritual master. The strength of an intermediate level imperial spiritual master. In terms of understanding, Renault's own talent is also extremely high. This can be seen from the fact that he was the #1 genius spiritual master in the Kingdom of Orlando and was promoted to the 6th level of low-level spiritual master at the age of 30. Speaking of battles, Renault has fought with the 8th level imperial spiritual masters of the Daos family, and has fought life and death with the intermediate imperial spiritual masters Nanan and Birdsall, and his combat experience is not low. As for teaching, during his time in the Kingdom of Orlando, he had Rost, the 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master, to guide him, and he and D. Lin, who was about to be promoted to the intermediate imperial spiritual master, continued to discuss with each other, and there was even Wayne, a former 8th level imperial spiritual master. The peak level emperor spiritual master gave guidance. No matter in any aspect, Renault has already had the strength to challenge the 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master. However, the reason why he has been unable to advance is because of his broken arm and body, as well as the depression in his mind. Renault's body was completely disabled by Augustus, and he became a cripple for nearly 18 years. Although he was cured by Jason, he still had some flaws, which was one of the reasons why he could not advance. What's more important is that the depression that the broken arm brought to Renault's soul was too great. The 10-year contract was like a big mountain pressing on his head, and the broken arm made him lose confidence in his future. Hope, his heart was full of darkness, and his personality became violent and cold. All of this made him unable to break through that obstacle. However, now, the rebirth of his broken arm and the effect of the regeneration potion have completely reborn his body, no longer having any defects, and he has completely recovered mentally, and the powerful energy of the regeneration potion has directly sent him to the end of the world. He has reached the 7th level intermediate level of the Emperor Spiritual Master. At this moment, Renault was like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon, glowing with new life. With his accumulated experience, although he had just been promoted to the intermediate level of Emperor Spiritual Master, he could definitely be regarded as the best among the ordinary intermediate level Emperor Spiritual Masters. Strong. Even more important is the potential for the future. At the beginning, if Renault could reach the 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master in this life, it would be a great opportunity. It would be almost impossible for him to take another step forward with his strength. Although Renault's understanding is not weak, his damaged physical qualifications are really poor, and his hardware strength seriously inhibits his future development. But now, after being reshaped by the regeneration potion, Renault's body seems to be reborn again at this moment. The skin all over his body is as round and smooth as mutton fat jade. From time to time, there are golden rays of light on the body surface, and the meridians in the body is extremely broad and flexible, able to withstand the erosion of huge energy, and the muscles are also tight, giving people a strong and powerful feeling. In terms of physical strength, Renault is definitely much stronger than the average mid-level Imperial Spiritual Master. Just like Jason's violent spiritual master's body training, it is far superior to the average spiritual master of the same level. The 7th level Imperial Potion, the Regeneration Potion, can regenerate stumps of limbs. It is only a side effect of the spiritual potion. The real effect of the entire bottle of spiritual potion is to regenerate the body almost like regeneration and change a person's physique. From now on, as long as Renaud continues to practice hard, the 8th level low-level Emperor spiritual master will not only be trained by him, but can even be regarded as a transit point in his future cultivation. His future is limitless. Amid the laughter, the ecstatic expression on Renaud's face gradually calmed down. His sword-shaped eyebrows and starry eyes were very heroic. The look into each other's eyes gave people an inexplicable powerful aura. After being reborn, even the many mottled white spots on his face were gone. The hair became black and bright at this moment. An extremely powerful self-confidence flowed in his eyes, and then he restrained his spiritual power, standing proudly and erect, motionless as a mountain, giving people a feeling of being extremely restrained and unfathomable. Congratulations to Father, congratulations to Father. Jason, who was in a happy mood, said with a playful smile. You brat. Renaud's face broke out into a smile for the first time since his arm was broken. The two looked at each other, their eyes filled with deep affection that melted into blood. Let's go and see what's going on outside, Renaud said calmly. After several twists and turns, his eyes were extremely calm. It was a kind of indifference that had seen through life and death, and contained everything. Behind this indifference, he revealed what comes out is incomparable confidence. Having advanced to the rank of intermediate Imperial Spirit Master, he has absolute confidence that anyone in the territory of chaos will be blocked by his sword. In the hall of a luxurious courtyard in the middle of the Per family mansion in the city of chaos, a group of people gathered at this moment. You bastard, look at what you did. In one day, you lost half of the rare materials that our Per family has obtained in the past 2 years. It's just that you failed more than succeeded. In the hall, a man with grey beard and hair, red face. The old man was sitting on the Teicher chair in the middle of the hall, staring, and with a slap of his hand, the hard table made of fine pear wood shattered into pieces and turned into sawdust all over the floor. The person standing below him was Vincent, the current patriarch of the Per family, a 7th level low-level Imperial spiritual master. However, at this moment, he was like a primary school student who had done something wrong. He stood aside with his head bowed, looking embarrassed, but did not speak. He did not have the bearing of a patriarch of a big family. This is no wonder for him. The person sitting on the Grand Master's chair is the leader of the Per family, a 7th level intermediate Imperial spiritual master. He is an invincible existence in the territory of chaos and has the title of one of the 3 major myths of the territory of chaos. Daimler, the patriarch of the Per family. In fact, although Vincent is 1 level lower than Daimler, as the patriarch, he is also considered to be a high-ranking authority in the family. However, knowing the temper of the elder, he does not dare to refute at this moment. This Daimler has an extremely bad temper and an impulsive personality. He is always ready to curse. If Vincent didn't refute, it would be fine, but Daimler would stop after a few curses. If he refuted, he would probably have to curse. Not for a few hours. Vincent naturally did not want to touch this bad luck. Look at you, standing there like idiots. Grandma, how come we, the Per family, have a bunch of trash like you? None of them look pleasing to the eye. After scolding Vincent for a few words, Dai Feng Lu took out his anger on the second elder Nixon and others behind Vincent. Nixon and others smiled bitterly in their hearts. It was a tragedy that he could be shot while lying down. However, they did not dare to show any dissatisfaction on their faces and pretended to listen to the instructions obediently. Tell me, what's going on? After scolding everyone present, Daimler's anger subsided and he looked sharply at Vincent at the front. How did I hear that you were in that guy Pierre lost half of the family's materials in a competition with a young man? Seeing that the Great Elder finally stopped cursing, Vincent let out a sigh of relief and said, "Great Elder, the thing is like this asterisk." He immediately invited Pierre, the head of the Curie family, to invite the heads of his 8 major families to a gathering, and then found out the mysterious consignor of the elixir in the nearest city of chaos, and then the young man proposed a competition, and the whole process of making a bet, and finally formulating the imperial potion, causing a strange phenomenon in the world, and achieving the final victory. After telling the whole thing, Patriarch Vincent's eyes were so angry that he wanted to spit out fire. "It's so frustrating, so frustrating. No one would have thought that the elixir that this young man finally prepared would be better than Pierre, the 6th-level senior elixir master." Vincent originally wanted to earn some of the elixir from the other party, but now, he really lost it. The lady lost her troops again. "You mean that young man has a space ring on his body? And he is accompanied by a 7th-level low-level imperial spiritual master whose strength is no less than yours?" Daimler said loudly. Vincent nodded and said, "Yes, that boy has a space ring, and although the guard beside him only has 1 arm, his murderous aura is very strong. Even I can probably only fight to a draw with him." "Have you investigated the identity of the other party?" "With a 1st-level low-level imperial spiritual master as a guard, when did our territory of chaos have such a figure?" Daimler frowned and said, "If it were an ordinary person, he would have been there by now." Angrily, he rushed forward and took the other person directly, but Vincent's words made him feel a little wary. "The space ring is a priceless treasure. In the entire Pear family, only Daimler owns it. Even Vincent, the patriarch, does not have it. Now that he actually sees it on a young man, this makes Daimler feel sad. Somewhat wary. Although Daimler has a bad temper and acts impulsively, he is not a fool. Sometimes he still knows how to use his brain a little. Great Elder, I have already investigated. The one-armed man and the young man came in from outside the territory of chaos more than 2 months ago. They first followed the Sword Adventure Group to Santa Fe City. I don't know why. The family destroyed the Neal family and the Dax family, both of which were one of the 3 major families in Santa Fe City, allowing the Khan's family to take control of the entire Santa Fe City. Sheep called them 2 masters and came to chaos together not long ago. Leader, and consigned elixir horns on a large scale in the trading center. Vincent elaborated, the family's intelligence can only be found so much. As for the identities of the young man and the one-armed guard, and where they came from the mainland, it is still unclear, but it is only in the family's intelligence files. So far, no empire or family in the mainland has been found to have a genius elixir named Jace. The Perret family is worthy of being one of the 3 major families in the territory of chaos, and the competition between Jason and Pierre only passed a few at this time. When the ordinary family's news about Jason was still in the clouds, the Perret family had investigated all the actions of Jason and Renault in the territory of chaos these days. Brother, let's not talk about the Kongsi family for the moment. Jace's one-armed subordinate calls Jace Master. If it is a normal relationship, he will only call you sir. Since you call him master, the meaning is profound. The second elder, Nixon, spoke to Patriarch Vincent. Friend Commander Vincent nodded. How could he not know this? Generally, only super-large families, passed down for countless generations, will specially train some masters, and these masters will be called master or something like that. This is what Vincent is worried about. Otherwise, with his character and his status as the leader of the 3 major families in the territory of chaos, if he finds such a genius spiritual medicine master, even if the opponent has a low-level imperial spiritual master next to him, he will be killed long ago. Imprisoned. A spiritual pharmacist who can prepare royal elixirs is enough to make the entire territory of chaos jealous and crazy. No matter which of the 3 major families gets it, it can suppress the other 2 families and become the unique overlord of the entire territory of chaos. Daimler, who was sitting on the Grand Master's chair, was obviously a little irritable and said, "Are you sure that only the 2 of them entered the territory of chaos? The information the family received is this. At first, the Sword Adventure group only saw the two of them entering. To the city of Santa Fe. Who? Daimler suddenly stood up and cursed. No matter what, arrest them both first. Then we will know where these two guys are from and what their identities are. Great Elder, this is not possible. Vincent's expression changed suddenly, and he hurriedly stopped in front of Daimler. He knew the character of the Great Elder. He was not afraid of anything. He would do anything when he was told. He could do anything when he was in a hurry. What should we do? The family's materials have been swallowed up by the other party like this? Daimler was extremely depressed. He knew that he was strong enough to completely defeat the other party, but because he was afraid of the other party's inexplicable identity, he could not do anything. Suddenly, Daimler seemed to have thought of something, frowned and said, Vincent, why does the Dax family you mentioned earlier sound so familiar? The Dax family? Vincent was stunned. Great Elder, you have forgotten that our family has a foreign disciple of the Dax family named Christo. He is a 4th-level senior elixir master at the age of 29. Unfortunately, that night not long ago, the two mysterious emperors under the sneak attack of the spiritual master, he and the 3rd Elder Fuelenton are both ghosts at this point. Vincent suddenly seemed to have a light flashing in his mind. He looked at Nixon with wide eyes. Nixon was the low-level Imperial spiritual master who attacked the family that day one-armed? One-armed? Nixon was stunned, not understanding why Vincent would ask that. He subconsciously said, that low-level Emperor spiritual master was surrounded by flames that day. Apart from swinging a sword at me at the beginning, there was no second fight between me and that person, so I didn't see it clearly. No. See clearly? Vincent frowned. What about the other spiritual master lurking in the family? The Imperial spiritual master lurking in the family? At this time, Nixon also understood why Patriarch Vincent wanted to. After asking this question, he frowned and said, I heard from the family guards that there was a second person later, but they didn't seem to see the other person's face or figure, and they probably didn't see it clearly. After saying this, Nixon couldn't help but said, Brother, do you suspect that the one-armed spiritual master who attacked the family that day is the one-armed man? This is impossible, there are two royal spiritual masters on the other side. The two imperial spiritual masters center sneered, when we examined Christo's body, weren't we still wondering why the remaining spiritual power fluctuations on Christo's body were so weak? It doesn't look like it was done by an imperial spiritual master at all. Not the imperial spiritual master? But everyone saw the figure flying into the sky. How could it be possible if it wasn't the imperial spirit master? Nixon couldn't help but interjected. Is it impossible? Vincent's eyes showed a trace of sternness. Do you still remember all the elixirs that were consigned? Among them was a bottle of flying potion, which can give anyone the ability to fly after taking it. At this point, even the idiots present understood what Vincent meant. You mean? Nixon and others were all shocked. The attack by two imperial spiritual masters on the Perret family's mansion a few days ago greatly damaged the reputation of the Perret family, and two important members died, including a member of the Perret family. The 3rd Elder. This made everyone in the Perret family extremely furious, and they have been trying to find the real culprit. This is just my guess, but two batches of low-level people who have never been seen before suddenly appeared in the entire Chaos territory. Master Huang, don't you think it's suspicious? Vincent said with a gloomy face. It turns out that they were responsible for the attack on the family a few days ago. No, I can't help it. Vincent, don't stop me. The elder Daimler suddenly became furious and said the cyan light flashed on him, and the whole person suddenly flew into the sky. Great Elder, Nixon shouted hurriedly, and at the same time looked at Vincent, and said anxiously, Brother, why didn't you stop the Great Elder? Although the other party is very likely, this is just your guess. It's just my guess at the moment. Vincent smiled coldly, but don't you think this is a good excuse and opportunity? After saying that, his body also rose into the air. Nixon, come on, too. You had contact with the other party before. Let's see if this one-armed man is the one who attacked our family at night. Vincent's voice came from the sky. Alas! Nixon stamped his feet fiercely and sighed. A stream of cyan light swept from his body, and then chased after the great elders Daimler and Vincent, who disappeared into the sky. In the mansion of the Khan's family, Gandalf was standing in front of Jason and Renaud. Master Jace, Master Lay, do you still remember the adventure group I told you about that got the cloud spirit fruit 8 years ago? Gandalf finally decided to tell Jason the secret in his heart. Jason and Renaud looked at each other and nodded. The adventure group back then was called the Desert Fox Adventure Group. The leader, Rommel, was a good friend of mine. 8 years ago, they did get a cloud spirit fruit from the depths of the cloud swamp. I suspect Pierre, the leader of the Curie family. The cloud spirit fruit used in exchange for your spiritual potion, Master, is the same one from back then. Gandalf's eyes were blurred, as if he was lost in memories. Master Jace, Master Lay, you entered the territory of chaos from the outside. Maybe you don't know that there is a treasure deep in the cloud swamp. It's called the Cloud Mist Palace, or the Maze of Death. Jason suddenly spoke. Gandalf's eyes suddenly widened and he lost his voice. How do you know? Although this death maze is not a secret among the 8 upper-class families in the territory of chaos, it is the middle-class families and the people at the bottom of the territory of chaos. It is completely uninformed, and it is impossible for a small family like the Khan's family to know, and since Jason and Renaud came to the territory of chaos, Gandalf has been staying with them. Now he heard from Jason the secret in his heart. Gandalf was extremely shocked. Jason smiled slightly and said casually, we also overheard it. To be honest, the purpose of Jason and Renaud's visit to the territory of chaos this time was the cloud mist spirit fruit. Although they were a little curious about this death maze, they were not very interested. Originally, Jason was planning to enter some kind of death maze if he couldn't find the cloud mist spirit fruit, but now that his father's arm has recovered, Jason's idea has faded a bit. Gandalf smiled bitterly. He originally thought that his secret would surprise Master Jace, but he didn't expect that he would be the one surprised in the end. But soon, he adjusted his mood and said solemnly, Master, since you have heard of this death maze, you know that no one has ever entered this palace in the thousands of years since this death maze was discovered in the cloud swamp. Many people in the chaos territory have speculated about what is inside, but no one knows. Back then, my brother Rommel accidentally broke through the outer maze and entered this palace was extremely dangerous, and the poisonous cloud outside the death maze would only fade for a month. Seeing that the deadline was coming, he led the members of the adventure group to rush out, but many died along the way. In the end, only 6 people of the entire adventure group escaped. At that time, my brother had completely memorized the path of the maze, and was preparing to continue entering this maze of death 8 years later. However, what my brother did not expect was that the ones who escaped there is a traitor among the 6 people, Manfred. Gandalf's eyes turned red, and he gritted his teeth and said, that beast betrayed my brother and took refuge with the Per family. Later, I don't know where the other major families in the territory of chaos came from. They also got this secret. That night, the leaders of the Perret family killed my brother and the remaining 4 members and grabbed the roadmap. They didn't expect that my Rommel brother, before that, he hid another roadmap and told me the secrets in the death maze. Having said this, Gandalf took out a yellowed spirit animal skin from his body and unfolded it in front of Jason and Renaud. This is a drawing with a strange route, like a maze, with marks on every corner. But it may be because Rommel only marked the route, so he only drew a very small outline. Part of it seems a bit fragmented. Seeing that route, Jason's brows suddenly frowned. I don't know why, but an extremely strange feeling suddenly appeared in Jason's mind at this moment, as if he had seen that pattern before. My brother Rommel told me that the Cloud and Mist Palace is indeed worthy of being called a palace. In fact, it is. Suddenly, Gandalf's face became extremely excited and flushed. In the perception of Jason and Renaud, even Gandalf's heartbeat accelerated instantly, as if what he said next was a shocking secret. Such an atmosphere made Jason and Renaud feel excited. Gandalf's expression was really too nervous. The Cloud and Mist Palace is actually the residence of a spiritual god who lived many years ago. He calls himself the god-slaying Nadim, and inside the palace are all his treasures, leaving them to those who are destined to do so. Gandalf said every word he said hit the hearts of Jason and Renaud like a giant hammer. The mansion of the spiritual god. God-killing Nadim. Jason and Renaud looked at each other, with a hint of inexplicable horror in their eyes. Spiritual god, this is definitely a title that can make anyone in the entire continent change their color. Over the countless years since the birth of the continent, there have been countless strong men, like Christian Carp, crossing the river, and countless stars in the night sky. Ninth-level Holy Spirit Masters can generally live for thousands of years. There are people in almost every era, and they have never been discontinued. They are a force that is proud of the top of the mainland. Even a ninth-level elixir master will appear every few thousand years, just like Archimedes in this era and Jason 3,000 years later. However, under the erosion of the torrent of time, even the most brilliant experts will pass away under the passage of time. Even if a ninth-level Holy Spirit Master does not die in battle, his lifespan is only a few thousand years, and he will inevitably turn into the fate of dust. Only spiritual gods can live forever and be immortal for eternity. But the 10th-level spiritual god, even with Jason's identity 3,000 years later, has never heard of it. Even in the history recorded in books, there are only vague records of the existence of spiritual gods in the ancient times 10,000 years ago. But what puzzles Jason and all the powerful people in the mainland is that in all the remaining fragments of the ancient times on the mainland, when depicting the spiritual gods, it is recorded that the spiritual gods have a long and almost endless lifespan. According to logic, even if the realm of spiritual gods is too high and it is extremely difficult to produce them, over countless years, there will be more and more of them. Even if they fall due to battle, there will never be a single person after reproduction to this day. But this is the fact. From the ancient times 10,000 years ago to the present, no spiritual gods have appeared in the historical records of all countries in the mainland. It seems that all spiritual gods disappeared at once in the ancient times. This has always puzzled Jason. Even if the history of the mainland is hidden from ordinary people, with his identity as the first person in the mainland in his previous life, a ninth-level elixir master, and those ninth-level holy masters who followed him, identity, if there really is a spiritual god on the mainland, it is absolutely impossible that he would not know about it at all. Therefore, when Gandalf revealed that the Death Maze was actually the mansion of a spiritual god from an unknown number of years ago, both Jason and Renaud were shocked. In fact, Jason was even more shocked than Renaud. Jason's goal in this life is to become the god of medicine, and if he wants to become the god of medicine, he must first reach the 10th level of the spiritual god. For the first time, Jason was extremely curious about the Death Maze. Perhaps he could learn some unknown things from it. After all, Gandalf was extremely confident when he said it. He even stated the title and name of the spiritual god, God-Killer Nadim, clearly, and it definitely didn't look like a random fabrication. I see. After a while, Jason and Renaud both recovered, and their originally shocked eyes became calmer. But in their eyes, there was a sense of excitement at this moment. Bang! Just when Jason and Renaud had digested all the information Gandalf said, Gandalf in front of them suddenly knelt down in front of them, with great pain and grief on his face. Master Jace. Gandalf raised his head, looked at Jason with excited eyes, and said firmly, "From now on, Gandalf is willing to follow you, Master, and do everything for you, Master." "I only hope that, Master. Can you grant me a wish?" "Gandalf, what are you?" Jason and Renaud were both stunned. "Master Jace, I just hope that when you have the strength in the future, if you can, kill Vincent of the Perret family and Manfred for me. If killing Vincent doesn't work, then kill Manfred." Gandalf's eyes showed deep hatred. It was a kind of hatred that penetrated deep into the bones, enough to drown everything. The Perret family? Manfred? Yes, the Perret family, under the leadership of Manfred, killed their brother Rommel and 4 other adventurers in order to prevent my brother spreading the news about the death maze. All the people in the Desert Fox Adventure Group's camp were slaughtered overnight. My poor wife and children were stationed there, and Gandalf couldn't cry. Sounds and tears flowed down from his eyes in one fell swoop. At this moment, he was no longer a noble elixir, but just a husband and father who had lost his wife and children but was unable to take revenge. Although Gandalf is a low-level elixir master of the 5th level, his status is extremely high. In places like the Northwest countries, he is enough to be the first elixir master of a small kingdom and a powerful principality, and is respected by thousands of people. However, in the face of chaos, when he led the Perret family, one of the 3 major families, he was powerless. Each of the 3 major families in the territory of chaos has been standing in the territory of chaos for thousands of years, which is far beyond what he, a low-level 5th level elixir master, can shake. If Gandalf can advance to the 6th level of elixir master in this life, there might be some hope, but Gandalf also knows his qualifications, and the possibility of reaching the 6th level of elixir master is not high. And after Jason, spending so much time with Jason these days gave him a glimmer of hope. He knew that with Jason's strength and identity, he might not be able to like him, a low-level master of elixirs, but in the face of the hope of revenge, he made a desperate move. Gandalf, get up first. Jason helped Gandalf up, who was kneeling in front of him. Before he could say anything, he saw Renaud, who had been sitting quietly aside, suddenly stand up. A golden light suddenly burst out in his eyes. Jace, Ray, you too, get out of here. A rumble like thunder echoed through the King's family mansion. You're here to find me and my father? The 3 Jasons immediately arrived in the yard outside and looked up at the sky. In the sky, 3 figures stood there proudly. They were gray old men with red faces and angry eyes. Their blue robes were very dazzling under the refraction of the sun. And following the old man, one of them was Vincent, the patriarch of the Per family, who had lost a lot of information to Jason before. Gandalf's eyes instantly turned red. Whoosh! Reno pressed Jason's shoulders, gave Jason a look, and immediately flew into the air. Who are you? Daimler, the leader, frowned when he saw Renaud. He glanced at Vincent and Nixon beside him and said with doubt in his eyes. He had heard that the only one-armed man in the King's family, Jace's bodyguard, Lay, was a 7th-level Imperial spiritual master. The middle-aged man in front of him was in good health, and it was obviously not Lay. When did the King's family appear again? Is there an Imperial spiritual master here? However, the appearance of Renaud with his arm intact made Daimler more certain that the King's family was the mysterious Imperial spiritual master who attacked his family last time. Great Elder, this is the guard lay next to Jace. Vincent on the side was shocked when he saw Renaud with both arms intact, and hurriedly spoke in Daimler's ear. What? This is Lay. Didn't you say he is a one-armed man? Vincent was also speechless. He had not seen him for a few hours. This Lay had a broken arm before, but now he is intact. By the way, it must be the Imperial potion. Vincent suddenly realized in his heart, and his desire to catch Jason suddenly became stronger. Who was making such a fuss in the sky above Master Jace's mansion? At this moment, in the lobby of the King's family mansion, there were many victorious people in the City of Chaos who were exchanging elixirs. After hearing Daimler's roar, they all started shouting. Rushed out. This is Patriarch Vincent of the Perret family. Oh my God, that is Daimler, the great elder of the Perret family. That is the myth of our Chaos territory, a 7th-level intermediate Imperial spiritual master. Also Nixon, the 2nd elder of the Perret family. 3 Imperial spiritual masters, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Of course they are unwilling to lose after losing earlier and want to come over to find trouble. Someone sneered. Looking for a place? It's just a good place to find a place. If you want to steal people directly because of Master Jace's strength, I don't think we can get the elixir. No way? This is too much. It doesn't make sense anymore. No way. Someone sneered, what can't this Perret family do? It's still reasonable. He will reason with you. I think he can give Master Jace and lay a big buck. The hat is already considered good. What is the Perret family doing? Are the promises of these 8 major families all nonsense? This is a city of chaos. Forget what happened in the previous trading center, now the Perret family has lost again. If you want to come back and find a place, can you just break the rules they set? Someone said angrily. Shoo, keep your voice down, it won't be good if they don't hear you. The person next to you reminded me. I'm afraid of him. I won't be able to get the elixir. I gave away all my wealth back then. If the Perret family messes with me, I won't be able to get the elixir that I won by taking the risk. Here we are, what do you want me to do? Who among the people standing here is not the Perret family who won the bet? The people around him agreed. These people are all low-level spiritual masters. It is usually extremely difficult to find elixirs. This time, they won a rare bet. They were about to get the elixir they dreamed of. Now that the Perret family did this, everyone present was immediately offended. People's hearts are filled with anger and injustice. But it was just complaints from below, but no one really dared to curse Vincent and others in the sky. Chief Vincent, I don't know what the purpose of you guys making noise in the sky above my Kongsi family is. In midair, Renault said with a gloomy face. Haha, you really have the guts. Daimler laughed out loud. He knew from Vincent's mouth that this Lei was just a low-level imperial spiritual master. He was extremely arrogant. He was just a low-level imperial spiritual master, and he was not easy to catch. What's the purpose? Our Perret family now suspects that you are related to the mysterious imperial spiritual master who attacked our Perret family at night not long ago. We also ask you and Najis to come with us to our Perret family. Daimler sneered, not caring about Renault in front of him.